The course includes an extensive unit on climate change and requires all students to read the Stern Review on the Economics of Climate Change, which was published last year. The course delves into the science behind the issue, the challenges it poses to business and government, as well as a discussion on possible solutions. In the fast-changing world of modern healthcare, the job of a doctor is more and more like the job of a chief executive. The people who hospitals and physicians practice don't just need to know medicine. They must also be able to balance budgets, motivating a large and diverse staff, and make difficult marketing and legal decisions. In the fast-changing world of modern healthcare, the job of a doctor is more and more like the job of a chief executive. The people who run hospitals and physicians' practices don't just need to know medicine. They must also be able to balance budgets, motivating a large and diverse staff, and make difficult marketing and legal decisions. Environmental problems caused by hard rock mining involves water pollution by metal themselves, chemicals used in processing, acid drainage, and sediments. Metals and metal-like elements in the ore are toxic and prone to cause trouble by ending up in nearby streams and water tables as a result of mining operations. Environmental problems caused by hard rock mining involve pollution by metals themselves, chemical used in processing, acid drainage, and sediments. Environmental problems caused by hard rock mining involve water pollution by metal themselves, chemical used in processing, acid drainage, and sediments. Metal and metal-like elements in the ore are toxic and prone to cause trouble by ending up in nearby streams and water tables as a result of mining operations. In recent years, there have been one or two significant happenings that have kept alive the hope that the deep sea may conceal strange links with the past. In December 1938, off the southeast tip of Africa, an amazing fish was caught alive, a fish that was supposed to have been dead for at least 60 million years. In recent years, there have been one or two significant happenings that have kept alive the hope that the deep sea may conceal strange links with the past. In December 1938, off the southeast tip of Africa, an amazing fish was caught alive, a fish that was supposed to have been dead for at least 60 million years. In multilingual countries, code mixing, the use of more than one variety in the same utterance or sentence, and code switching, the use of different languages or varieties between sentences, is common and natural. Despite its frequency, or perhaps because of it, some scholars and self-appointed guardians of linguistic morality view both code mixing and code switching as a sign of linguistic deficiency. In multilingual countries, code mixing, the use of more than one variety in the same utterance or sentence, and code switching, the use of different language or varieties between sentences, is common and natural. Despite its frequency, or perhaps because of it, some scholars and self-appointed guardians of linguistic morality view both code mixing and code switching as a sign of linguistic deficiency. In this landmark account, first published over 20 years ago, the author argues that the ignorance and lethargy of the poor are the direct result of the whole situation of economic, social, and political domination. By being kept in a situation in which critical awareness and response are practically impossible, the disadvantages are kept submerged. In this landmark account, first published over 20 years ago, the author argues that the ignorance and lethargy of the poor are the direct result of the whole situation of economic, social, and political domination. By being kept in a situation in which critical awareness and responses are practically impossible, the disadvantages are kept submerged.
Students must observe lab safety regulations at all times.
Student must observe all the regulations at the right time.
It's the words of common occurrence that have different referential value.
It's the word of common occurrence that the word's body reflects.
The office said Dr. Smith will arrive later today.
The officer said that Dr. Smith will arrive late today.
Student Services provides help with housing and transport.
Student services provide help with transport and services.
A study skills seminar is on for students who require assistance.
A student seminar provides emphasis on student skills.
Any textual references you make should be cited appropriately in the footnotes.
You must take two notes in the appropriate references in the notes.
The research paper should begin with a thorough review of the literature.
The research paper must begin with the thorough review of literature of the research paper.
The aesthetic implications of this study have not yet been fully explored.
The researches have not been fully explored.
The inherent tension between these two features remains to be addressed.
The inherent relation between these two features is still remain to be addressed.
Journalism is the collection and publication or transmission of news.
Journalism is the transportation and exhalation of the news. Right. Yes. That has been calculated in millions. In 1950, the maximum data has been recorded in New York, 21 million, whereas in the year 2015, it has been recorded in Tokyo, that was 36 million. Amount of data has been recorded in Mexico City, various years. Here is a bar graph in front of me which is giving us information about largest cities worldwide. The data has been calibrated in millions. It has been given for the various years 1950, 2000 and 2015. From the study we can see that in the year 1950, New York has 21 millions of largest cities worldwide, whereas Tokyo is having 36 million in the year 2015. Whereas Delhi was having only 12 million largest cities in the year 2015. But from the researches, we can see that the trend has been increasing as per the years. Here is a line graph in front of me which is giving us information about kilocalories per day. The data has been calibrated in 1000. In this graph, we can see the data has been calibrated for various years from 1975 to 1995. From the graph, we can clearly see that in the year 1975 to 1995, North America was having maximum kilocalories per day that varies from 3000 to 3600. Whereas if we talk about Africa, the data has been varying from 2200 to 2400 only between the year 1975 to 1995. Here is a pie chart in front of me which is giving us information about injury locations. The data has been calibrated in percentages. From the data, we can clearly see that 41.4% of the people injured at home, whereas 17.1% of the people who generally get injured during the sports or the leisure time. There are 19.5% people who gets injured at the roads, whereas 15.2% people get injured at workplaces. Here is a line graph in front of me which is giving us information about population growth and projected population of Sydney from the year 1976 to 2031. The data has been calibrated in lakhs. From the data, we can clearly see, according to the census of 1976, there were approximately 3,50,000 population was there in Sydney, whereas in 2031, the trend has been said to be increasing, which was approximately 5 crore 3 lakh. Here is a beautiful picture in front of me which has been shown in black and white colors, which is giving us information about the various towers present in the country. Here three towers has been discussed. The first tower is having the height of 1670 feet, which is Tepi Tower, which is located in Tepi, whereas Patron's Tower, which is located in Kuala Lumpur, is having the height of 1483 feet. Sears Tower is located in Chicago, is having the height of 1450 feet. Here is a graph in front of me which is giving us information about manufacturing output in the UK. The data has been calibrated in percentages. From the data, we can clearly see that it has been recorded maximum in the year 2002 to 2003, which was approximately 95%, whereas the maximum manufacturing output was recorded in the year 2001 to 2000, which was approximately 105%, whereas the significant amount has been recorded after the year 2007.
Milk is not typical of all monasteries for many reasons. First, it is very grand, which most, especially later foundations, aren't. Secondly, it was founded in the countryside, whereas in the 17th and 18th centuries, a good proportion of foundations were made in towns. Thirdly, it still owns a substantial amount of land, because fourthly, it lies in the Austrian Republic, the only European country where grand old monasteries have been in continuous existence since they were founded, 900, 1,000, even in one case 1,200 years ago.
In this detailed lecture, the speaker was talking about Melk Monastery, which is located in Austria. He discussed about 4 features of this Melk Monastery. Initially, he talked about Melk Monastery, that it is located on countryside and has been started in various years, 1,000 years ago. Secondly, he discussed about there is a substantial amount of land available for this, and it is located in Austria.
Corruption comes at a huge economic and social cost, and that cost is felt most acutely by the world's poor. Dr. Arnold has already given the staggering figure of $1 trillion US that's paid in bribes worldwide. It is an extraordinary figure. It's a figure that equals 10 times what is paid each year by donors in international development assistance. 10 times development assistance. And even this huge amount, $1 trillion, could be an underestimate because it's very difficult to capture a number of the more elusive transactions within the public sector that involve corrupt dealings, such as budget leakages and asset theft. Corruption sharpens income inequality, and it impacts disproportionately on the poor. In many countries, corruption works as a regressive tax on household incomes. Regressive because it impacts much more on the poor than the more wealthy. Compared with higher income groups, lower income families pay a much larger share of their incomes in bribes to access basic public services, and their overall access to those services is reduced.
In this retail lecture, the speaker was talking about financial flows, corruption versus development aid. He talked about that Dr. Smith figured out about that 1 billion of US dollars has been invested in this. It is actually 10 times of the amount which is actually paid in international system. Moreover, this amount is underestimated as there are corrupt dealings. People are giving bribe to access the services.
This is Hans Krebs, who in 1937 published a paper showing the sequence of chemical reactions by which energy is released in individual cells. It's called the Krebs cycle, which some of you may remember from your chemistry course in high school. Krebs is a wonderful example to me of how a scientist who is determined can overcome all kinds of human obstacles. Krebs' father constantly discouraged him and told him that he had just mediocre intelligence and would never do anything important in his life as a teenager. What Krebs remembers in his memoir, his father said to him, "You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear." And later on, when Krebs studied with the great biochemist Otto Warburg, Warburg also told him the same thing, not the same quote, but that he had only mediocre ability and would never be a great scientist. And we all hear about how important it is for parents to encourage their children, but sometimes the children will go on to do great things no matter what we say to them.
In this retail lecture, the speaker was talking about Hans Krebs, who has written a research paper in the sequence of chemical reaction. His father always used to say that he has never done important in his teenage. However, when he studied biochemistry over there also, his colleagues used to say that he has mediocre ability, but he has done marvelous job in his career.
To which of our senses do all of the following words relate? Opaque, vivid, brilliant, shiny.
C.
In a recession, does economic activity increase, slow down, or stay the same?
Increases.
In medical terms, are antibodies harmful or beneficial for patients?
Beneficial.
Would a person suffering problems with their vision consult a biologist or an optometrist?
Biologist.
Would fresh milk last longer in a fridge or in a cool cupboard?
In a fridge.
Historians use evidence to draw conclusions about the past. Would a contemporary artist's painting of an ancient battle be an original source or a secondary source?
Original source.
What is the subject of study at a culinary institute?
Don't know.
Where would you expect to find equipment like microscopes, Bunsen burners, beakers, and petri dishes?
Chemistry laboratory.
What is the name of the field of study that studies the human mind and behavior?
Neurology.
A planet or galaxy that is very distant can be seen with what device?
Telescope. लो मैं ना पता क्या यहाँ ना सिस्टम में मतलब बार बार एक वायरस का नोटिफिकेशन आता है, जैसे वायरस का नोटिफिकेशन आता है वो नॉर्टन का एंटीवायरस का, वो बार बार मतलब जैसे स्पीकिंग सेक्शन चल रहा था तो प्लेंग 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 बार बार ऐसे वो होता था बीच में, जैसे मतलब ऐसे क्वेश्चन भी स्किप हो रहे थे, तो क्योंकि वो जब तक उस पर मैं क्लिक नहीं करती तब तक वो आगे नहीं जाता, मतलब नेक्स्ट का ऑप्शन उसके नीचे दब जाता है। ठीक है, तो और उसकी वजह से रिकॉर्डिंग भी बीच में ही बंद हो गई, तो ऐसे नॉर्टन है मुझे लगता है। इनकी 7 इंटरनेट सिक्योरिटी। हाँ, कर लिया। सेकंड run quick scan, run update, disable product protection, halt network traffic, enable gaming mode। ये कर दूँ, डिसेबल कर दूँ, डिसेबल प्रोडक्ट प्रोटेक्शन, प्रोटेक्शन। अब मुझे लगता है मुझे सारा रिपीट देना पड़ेगा। एक बज गया। कैसे? हेलो। हाँ जी। हाँ नहीं, मैंने उनकी क्लास सैटरडे को भी नहीं ली थी, तो क्लास तो लेनी है। हाँ।